In this video, I'm going to teach you 3 tips on how you can turn a fixed bid project into a longer term opportunity, which can help grow your consulting business in the long term. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, my name is Don Felker, and in this channel, I teach you how to start, survive, and thrive in the world of independent consulting so that you can live a life of financial freedom and autonomy, one that you've always dreamed of. Now let's talk today about how you can use fixed bid projects to your advantage. Now let me just be straight up and upfront with you. I normally avoid fixed bid projects, and the reason for that is simply because a lot of clients really don't know what they want, and it becomes an administrative nightmare to manage the project end to end. They'll provide a spec or say, here's what I want, and then once you get started with the application, they realize that's not exactly what they want, or they need to make a bunch of changes. And when changes come into play, you need to make sure that you're managing it with the change control process. Overall, it can kind of become sort of a difficult job to navigate, and very often, a lot of the client engagements I have are much longer term, anywhere from 3 to 18 months, depending upon the size of the project. A lot of times fixed bid projects can be very short, week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, and then you have to find another client. So very often I'm booked up and I don't take them simply because there are a lot of administration. However, I have taken them and do recommend that you do take them if you have the opportunity to and you're looking for a client, because they can offer you a humongous benefit of future opportunity with that future client. So I'm going to teach you 3 tips today on what you can do to actually get your foot further in the door with a client who's doing a fixed bid project. Now, if you're not familiar with what a fixed bid project is, please check out this video right here where I show you exactly what a fixed bid project is, and then you'll be more familiar with it. So let's go ahead and hop into the first tip. Before I tell you exactly what it is, let me tell you a story about how we got here. A number of years ago, as a software developer in the mobile space, a client came to me and said, we have an iOS application and we need the Android version. Can you create the Android version? I took a look at their iOS app, but went through a number of the screens, looked at their APIs, and provided them with a quote. Now, I always give a quote that's in a range from a low end to a high end. The low end is always going to be, you've given me every single expectation, every error condition, every error screen, every asset, every graphic that I need, and I should just be able to go off into my office and write it and then deliver it to you. That never happens, but I give them that option just so they can see if they did have all that ready, how much it would cost. And then I give them the high end, and the high end is usually, if you don't give me anything and there's a bunch of problems and we continually have a bunch of back and forth, it could cost somewhere in this range. So when the client sees that, they're kind of surprised. In this version of the application for this client, the range was quite significant. It was anywhere from $20,000 to $45,000 that this application was going to cost. They immediately said, well, we don't have that budget. They were a startup that had not received any funding other than family and friends, and I think an initial seed round. So they just needed to get the Android version off the ground to actually see if it was a valid market for them. So this leads me to option number 1, and that is to lower your bid based upon the minimum viable requirements, or the MVP, the minimum viable product that the client needs. The iOS app had a number of features. Let's just say it had 20 features, but the core components were maybe 5 or 6 features that without these 5 or 6, the app was worthless. But with these 5 or 6 features, most people could get, the 80% benefit out of the application. So what I did is I asked the client, well, what are the core features? So you kind of have to pepper them with questions. What are the things that people cannot live without? And then told them, how about we create a minimum viable product version, which will be significantly less. And then we can see how it goes from there. If your clients like it and we want to adopt another feature, we can do another quote for another couple of features, or we can move on to an hourly basis at that time. At that point, they said, yeah, well, what would that quote look like? And so once we determined the 5 or 6 features in which we're going to be inside of there, the quote dropped significantly. I think it went anywhere from, it was around $6,000 to $9,000 for this application at that point in time. This was definitely within the range that they were expecting, and so we decided to move forward with it. Now, this was fantastic because it allowed me to actually get my foot in the door with this client. I also had, some more time available to me, so it kind of fit within my my time frame as well. So that's option number one. Lower the bid to match the minimum viable product so you can actually show them the value that you provide. Now, this is super beneficial because this actually leads us into number two. Once you get into a fixed bid project, you're going to find a whole bunch of other things in which you can improve or help add value to the client, or additional things that you can do for them, and you need to let them know of these things. Now, this might be, hey, I know how to set up a continuous integration server, or maybe you're a designer or you're good at copywriting. Hey, I can write the copy on this page. Hey, have you tried this? Show them that you know what you're doing and you can do this. Perhaps even provide additional value without having them even ask for it. If you're delivering an application, just have build scripts and everything running already. Have it running already on a continuous integration server that you've set up that is perhaps a free option that they can use. Show them the added benefit of that. What this will do is by providing this additional value and showing them what you can do, will then open their eyes to the additional opportunities in which they can utilize your skill set. So perhaps will turn into more consulting work, which is almost always happens. And very often you'll find that they try to offer you a full-time job too. So if you're interested in that, you could pursue that. For me, I've always enjoyed consulting, so I've said no. So that is option number two. You're just going to offer additional services based upon what you see needs to be implemented, or see some areas that could be improved inside of the client's company. So pretty simple thing to do. Which leads us to number three, which is kind of a mix mash of number two. Over deliver, always over deliver. So even if you don't see any additional areas in which things can be improved, maybe you can't help them with design, maybe anything like that, which it's very hard to find situations where a client's perfect. Always over deliver. Make sure that you're getting things done quicker than they anticipated. Make sure you're delivering quickly. You're communicating. You are going above and beyond than any other person that they've ever worked with. What this is going to do is show them how valuable that you are. And almost 99 out of 100 times, they're going to want to try to keep you on at some level. Now, what this will usually turn into is the client will come back and say, hey, we've implemented these 5 or 6 features like you wanted based upon your, number one, the lower bid. Let's move on and add 5 or 6 more features. Can you estimate that? Now, what that does is it turns into another contract, a repeat customer. It's easier to keep on a repeat customer than it is to find a brand new customer. That's just kind of a typical sales metric that's known. It's always easier to keep an existing customer than it is to find a new one. So keep that in mind. If there's a way that you can sell services to an existing customer, you've already got the contracts in place. You've already got the relationship. You've already got everything else, the trust, the authority. Utilize that to try to continue your business and expand your business within that current client. When you do that, you're going to continually open up more and more doors of opportunity within that client. Now, this could turn into additional fixed bid projects, like I said, or very often what the client will find is that they just want to continue working with you, and they have a lot of work. They're happy that they found you, and so they might even offer you a hourly consulting rate for 3 or 4 months. They'll say, hey, can we keep you on 3, 4, 5, 6 months to help run this? In certain instances, if you find that the startup is early on and you're a technical person, a developer, an engineer, they may even offer you some type of position to help manage the team or help hire additional people to help grow the team. All of these are humongous benefits to you because it's just going to continually grow your brand and grow what you can offer your clients. So let's recap here. The 3 ways that you can utilize a fixed bid project to your advantage and actually open additional doors of opportunities are, number 1, lower your bid to match the minimum viable product requirement. So the minimum viable product of the app that you can get out. So if the app was going to cost $20,000 and you can get it out for $5,000 with that minimum viable product, offer that to the client and then say, hey, from here, let's iterate on this thing and introduce new features as we start to find more product market fit inside of your application. You need to think like a business in this regard. How can you save them money but offer them more value? There's certain trade-offs that they'll need to make, and they're familiar with that. If you help them kind of guide them to that decision, you can then turn yourself into a more valuable asset. Now, number 2, offer additional services. If you know how to design, if you know how to do copywriting, if you know how to do web development, API development, you're a mobile developer, and you know how to do various different things, you're a polyglot of some sort, make sure that your client is aware of these things and demonstrate that to them. Perhaps they'll even take you up on those offers, especially when the companies are small, such as a newly formed startup. You need a lot of generalists on the team because when a company is small, they don't have enough funds to go around. So a lot of people wear a lot of different hats. Show your value. Most likely they're going to take you up on it. Number 3, over deliver. Always over deliver on what you're doing. Get everything done early. Do it to the best of your ability and continually over deliver. Offer as many additional things as you can, and you're going to find out that the client's going to want to keep you on as much as possible. The real thing here is just realize that a fixed bid project, while they can be a nightmare to manage if not done properly, they can also be a humongous door opening opportunity. Many clients, if you can see that they're doing well and the company is growing, this will be an opportunity for you to step through. Now, you might just have a small opportunity for one project, but once you get your foot in that door and you show that you can provide value, over deliver, think like a business, thinking like MVP, everything like that, what you will do is find that more opportunity is then opened to you because they'll be offering you more positions, more contracts, more hours, etc. Now, if this is information you really enjoyed and this is something that helps you, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button. I would really appreciate it. I want to continue sharing more information about consulting and everything in that regards on this channel. I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you next time.